Let's now bring in Glenn Ignacio, military expert and retired Air Force Special Operations Commander. Glenn, good morning and thank you for your time here on CTV News Channel. We appreciate it.
Absolutely. Good to be back with you. Good morning.
So there is a blame game going on at the moment on why the truce ended, and the renewing of this fight has already seen a huge loss of life, according to Hamas Health Ministry. What's your assessment on the next few days to come as people continue to seek shelter?
Yeah, great question. So, yeah, Hamas did renege on some items, and to represent it factually, in the beginning, the Red Cross was supposed to be able to access the other hostages. That never happened, and there were other events that occurred, and then a kickoff and hostilities again. Now, what the IDF in Israel has been doing is dropping leaflets and also posting maps of where they plan on evacuating or where they're expecting people to move as an evacuation to stay away from the combat operations within Gaza. I believe that what's going to happen is that the fighting is going to be more intense because Israel knows that the timeline is not in their favor, and their main objectives are hostage release, and this is what Netanyahu says, and second of all, destroying the infrastructure of Hamas to make sure it doesn't happen again.
There is enough evidence that Israel is now looking at south. Now, we know that the concentration of the population has also moved to the south. And even though the IDF and Israel has a good military, what's your assessment of the collateral damages that's going to come about now?
Yeah, now the international community and that pressure around the world, not just from governments, but from people in general, because you see protests around the world, has put an increased amount of pressure on Israel to reduce the collateral damage, to focus their particular operations and reduce the intensity. Now, that's what people want to do. Now, if Israel does that or not, that's going to be, to be seen. But what they're going to have to do is be much more precise because there are so many people that have been hurt, displaced, and the humanitarian effort is significant. So Israel's going to be much more pinpointed, but I know they're going to be much more intense because, like I said, the timeline and the time that this goes on is really against them.
What's your take on the hostage situation? We understand, of course, over 100 people continue to be in Hamas's captivity. And it is being said that, of course, if 10 of them were released every day, we could have seen a truce extend. But the fact that we have seen the fighting renewed again, what's your take on what's happening on the hostage situation?
Yeah, great question. Now, most of them, have been women and children. Now, Israel believes that there's still another 10 to 12 that are female or two children, I believe, that are also unaccounted for. So, but most of the hostages are men, and they always said that they were going to release women and children first. But the issue is that there were no more lists of names that Hamas was going to release. So that was one of the questions about what is going to go on, and is this ceasefire going to continue? And then there was the rocket attacks, multiple attacks, and basically this thing tripped off again. We knew it was going to happen. We just didn't know when. So there's still indirect negotiations going on between Qatar and the United States and others indirectly with Hamas. And again, the focus will be getting the hostages out. But as we said, Israel and the IDF says they're going to destroy Hamas's infrastructure. So again, it's a very delicate balance, but both have to really come to the table seriously. And that includes Hamas. They really do need to follow these items they said they would do.
And in the situation that we are in at the moment, Glenn, what's your take and understanding on how easy is the wrong word, how challenging rather it's going to be for aid to flow in? Because we know once again, aid has stopped at the Rafah border since the war has renewed. But the fact that it is so important and necessary at the moment for children and women especially, is there a possibility, you think, that aid could still flow in?
Yes, I do believe that that's going to happen again, and to the level, we will see. But yeah, the humanitarian effort is the biggest issue because this is collateral damage. The numbers that are released could be pure civilians. They could be Hamas militants as well. That's always a question. But I believe most of these operations the IDF is focusing on are going to be further to the south. And that's also where the humanitarian aid comes in. So I think there's going to be clear communication and there really has to be delicate to make sure nothing happens to this aid. But it really does have to continue. And right now it has stopped. And so let's look forward to that opening up and helping those people that are not part of the conflict directly.
All right. Glenn Ignacio, military expert and retired Air Force Special Operations Commander. Always great to have you on the program, Glenn. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.